O'Hearn fell off stage during a show.
Guys, you gotta cut that out. Not in front of me.
Guy Cisternino was caught yelling in a gym, and Flex Wheeler rejected his medal on stage. In this video, I'll show you 8 of the most embarrassing moments in pro bodybuilding history. Michael O'Hearn. If there is one man in the fitness industry who has spent 4 decades cultivating an image of near superhuman invincibility, it is Michael O'Hearn. The man is a walking monument to what the body can achieve through what he maintains as a lifetime of natural training, past drug tests, genetics, and discipline. Whether you believe that is a separate conversation that has fueled thousands of Reddit threads. But what nobody can deny is that when this man fell off a stage in 2019, the internet collectively lost its mind. Born January 26, 1969 in Kirkland, Washington, O'Hearn's resume is the stuff of fitness legend. 4 Mr. Natural Universe crowns, over 500 magazine covers, a starring role as Titan on the 2008 American Gladiators revival, acting credits, and a physique that at 57 still makes younger men question their entire training approach. On November 9, 2019, at the NPC Northwest Championships at Little Creek Casino Resort in Shelton, Washington, the Titan experienced a moment that gravity and the internet would never let him live down. During a guest posing routine weighing approximately 270 pounds on stage, O'Hearn misjudged the stage edge under poor lighting and tumbled off the platform. The video captured everything, but to his credit, he instinctively used a judo slap to break his fall. A skill from his martial arts background, climbed back up and continued posing to cheers. He later posted 270 pounds on stage after the Titanfall LOL, the show must go on. But the internet was already running with it at full speed. YouTube shorts and TikTok clips garnered millions of views with captions like "Grandpa Tumble" and "Tighten Down." The fall also reignited the perennial natty or not debate that has followed. O'Hearn his entire career, critics seized on the moment as proof his body was compromised, as though balance on a stage edge correlates with testosterone levels. It was absurd, but it illustrated how deeply the steroid question is embedded in every conversation about O'Hearn, to the point where even a stumble becomes ammunition in a debate that has raged for decades and shows no signs of resolution. Reddit users dubbed him Mike O'Tren, a play on Trenbolone, joking that his natty status was finally exposed by gravity. O'Hearn took it all in stride, credited his judo training for preventing serious injury, only bruises, and turned it into another motivational anecdote. But the memes were already born, and they were, as the internet goes, completely and totally eternal. What elevated this particular incident from a simple stumble to an enduring piece of internet lore was the collision between O'Hearn's carefully curated image and the humbling reality of a very ordinary, very human mistake. For decades, this man had presented himself as something close to a real-life superhero, the Titan, the ageless wonder, the man who defied time and biology through sheer willpower and clean living. And then, in one split second captured on a shaky cell phone camera, gravity reminded everyone watching that no matter how many magazine covers you have graced, no matter how many titles you have won, no matter how loudly you proclaim your immortality, a poorly lit stage edge does not care about your personal brand. While O'Hearn's fall was in front of an audience, this next incident happened at a private event. Robert Frank 615. Robert Frank Richetti, known to the internet as Robert Frank 615, is one of the most recognizable and beloved fitness influencers of the past decade. Born on June 15, 1978 in Princeton, New Jersey, Frank built his empire not through bodybuilding competitions, but through raw, unfiltered, hilariously profane content that resonated with millions of everyday gym goers around the globe. His signature car rage videos, bare-chested, opinionated monologues filmed in his vehicle, exploded across Instagram and YouTube starting in 2013, blending Jersey Shore swagger with old-school wrestler charisma. This formula eventually propelled him to over 1.1 million Instagram followers and more than 193 million YouTube views. The man was, is, and always will be a legitimate force in the fitness influencer world. But the moment that earns him a spot on this list went down during Olympia weekend around 2019 at a pool party in Las Vegas. Frank had put himself through an absolutely brutal preparation regimen, not for a competition, not for a photo shoot, but simply to look good shirtless at a pool party. His stack included testosterone, Trenbolone, Proviron, and Shredded AF supplements, alongside 45 minutes of daily fasted cardio, 6 meticulously planned meals, and heavy painkiller use, oxycodone, roxycodone, and 800 milligrams ibuprofen to push through workouts while consuming a bottle of Jack Daniels every 2 days. He arrived at the party after pumping up in the hotel gym, a muscular 200 to 205 pounds, surrounded by jacked pros and gorgeous attendees. Then it happened. A fan recognized him, praised his videos, asked for a photo, and then said, "You know, I thought you'd be bigger." better. Frank later shared that he had heard this from women 1,000 times, but it stung incomparably worse from a fellow bro, a man who should have understood the sacrifice. Frank laughed it off, posed for the picture, put his shirt back on, and left within 10 minutes. He rediscovered the photo on a 2023 flight and shared the tale on X, where it gathered 254 likes, 26 replies, and over 55,000 views, with fans sharing similar insecurities. It was funny, painful, and devastatingly human. Frank's vulnerability in sharing this story publicly is, in many ways, more important than the moment itself. In an era of fitness, influencers who present only their best angles, their most flattering lighting, and their most impressive lifts, here was a man willing to admit that despite all the drugs, all the dieting, all the cardio, and all the effort, one casual remark from a stranger at a pool party could reduce him to putting his shirt on and leaving. That honesty, that willingness to sit with the discomfort and share it rather than bury it, is what separates Robert Frank 615 from the carefully curated highlight reels dominating fitness social media, and it is exactly why his audience connects with him so deeply. While this incident was at a private event, this next incident occurred in a public gym. Guy Cisternino. Guy Cisternino, born March 21, 1982 in Bridgewater, New Jersey, is a respected 212 division competitor who earned his IFBB Pro card in 2008 after winning NPC Nationals with a perfect score. He went on to compile victories including back-to-back New York Pro titles in 2015 and 2016, and a career best 6th at the Mr. Olympia in 2015. The man had earned every ounce of respect in the bodybuilding community, and then in May 2021, he let his temper get the absolute best of him in a public gym, and the whole world saw it. At Destination Dallas, Texas gym, during a sponsored leg workout filmed by the gym owner's crew, Cisternino was captured on video confronting two gym goers, yelling for them to stop joking in front of him and suggesting they take it outside.
Guys, you gotta cut that out. Not in front of me.
He later explained he had asked them twice politely before. Escalating and their proximity, backslapping, and defensive response pushed him over the edge, but the video, posted to his own Instagram and crucially missing the initial context, went viral, and the internet was absolutely merciless. The incident also sparked a broader conversation about gym culture and the unwritten rules governing shared training spaces. Who gets priority? The professional athlete filming a sponsored session, or the paying member who has every right to use the facility? Where does reasonable expectation of focus end and entitled territorial behavior begin? These questions, debated in comment sections and Reddit threads for weeks, revealed how much tension exists beneath even ordinary gym interactions. Cisternino's outburst may have been over the top, but it touched a nerve that resonated with anyone who has ever wanted to scream at someone hogging the leg press during rush hour. Reddit's r/bodybuilding roasted him with comments like, "What an ambassador for bodybuilding lol," and "Guy is making the most noise," while others slapped on the roid rage label. The backlash was swift and widespread. Cisternino spent weeks in damage control, sitting for a Generation Iron interview and hosting an 80-minute Instagram live explaining the video was incomplete. He admitted overreacting but stood by his boundaries. In a surprisingly wholesome twist, he resolved things with one of the men on the live, and they agreed to train together, a redemption arc. But the memes were already out there, etched into the internet's permanent, unforgiving memory. What is particularly fascinating about this incident is how perfectly it illustrates the tension between the intensity required to compete at the professional level and the social norms of a shared public space. Cisternino, by his own account, was deep in a working set during a filmed, sponsored training session, a high-pressure environment where focus and performance are paramount. The gym-goers, on the other hand, were simply existing in a public facility, doing what people do in gyms, talking, laughing, moving between equipment. Neither party was objectively wrong, but the collision of those two worlds, the hyper-focused pro athlete and the casual gym patron, produced a moment of friction that the internet gleefully amplified into a full-blown controversy. While Cisternino was caught shouting in a gym, this next bodybuilder lost control of his body. Heath. Phil Heath is, by virtually every measurable standard, one of the greatest bodybuilders to ever live. 7 consecutive Mr. Olympia titles from 2011 to 2017, tying Arnold Schwarzenegger's record. A physique so genetically gifted his trainer nicknamed him The Gift. Victories at the Ironman Pro, Arnold Classic, and Sheru Classic. But even gods, as the internet eloquently observed, can cramp violently. On July 19, 2014, at the NPC Colorado State Championships in Denver, Heath was guest posing, showcasing his Olympia prep at 240 to 250 pounds. Mid-routine, as he moved into a kneeling pose, sudden full-body cramps struck, starting in his thighs and spreading to his back and calves. He fell backward, wailing in pain, rolling on the stage. The audience was bewildered. Many thought it was theatrical performance akin to Kai Green's artistic routines. Promoters rushed to help, and after an agonizing minute, Heath laughed it off, sipped Pedialyte, Pedialyte and resumed posing. There is also something profoundly ironic about the fact that this occurred during a low-stakes guest posing appearance, a casual favor for a local promoter. The cramps were a consequence of his Olympia preparation, not the guest spot itself, meaning his most embarrassing viral moment was essentially collateral damage from dedication to the bigger prize. He was so committed to peak condition for the Olympia that he pushed his body past basic functionality at a smaller show. It is a perfect metaphor for professional bodybuilding, the relentless pursuit of one goal creating catastrophic side effects in every other area of your life. Heath attributed the cramps to dehydration and electrolyte depletion from his Olympia cut, worsened by diuretics. He joked he slept on some Pedialyte afterward, but viral videos would later spark memes and sobering conversations about extreme bodybuilding preparation. The incident was a visceral reminder that beneath the spray tan and impossible striations, these athletes push their bodies to the absolute brink. Did it slow him down? Not one bit. He captured his 4th consecutive Mr. Olympia title months later, proving that even a viral stage collapse could not derail the gift's march toward history. The deeper significance of this incident extends well beyond the momentary embarrassment of a champion writhing on stage. It pulled back the curtain on the brutal, often hidden physical toll that elite bodybuilding competition preparation exacts on the human body. The diuretics that these athletes use to shed water and achieve that paper-thin, striated look on stage do not just remove subcutaneous water, they strip the body of essential electrolytes like potassium, sodium, and magnesium that muscles need to function. When those levels drop too low, the result is exactly what the world witnessed that July evening: involuntary, violent, excruciating muscle contractions that can lock an entire body into a state of agony. It happens more often behind closed doors than the public realizes, but rarely does it happen under stage lights, on camera, in front of an audience. Heath himself has spoken in subsequent years about the toll that preparation takes on the body and mind. Beyond the cramps, his career was shadowed by increasingly visible health consequences of extreme bodybuilding, each one adding another layer to the ongoing conversation about whether the pursuit of physical perfection is worth the physical cost. Unlike Heath, who was in pains, this next bodybuilder used his body to tell a story without words. Scolac. This entry takes us back to the golden era of bodybuilding, the late 1970s, when the politics behind the scenes were as brutal as the training, and one man, pushed to his emotional breaking point by perceived injustice, decided that if the judges were going to crucify his dreams, he would crucify himself right back on stage. Scolac, born 1953 in Hungary during the Hungarian Revolution, fled with his family as a young child, eventually settling in Delaware. His natural strength was freakish. He could bench press 400 pounds for reps, training at Gold's Gym in Venice Beach alongside Arnold, Frank Zane, and Lou Ferrigno. He compiled a remarkable record: 1976 AAU Mr. America overall, 1977 AAU Mr. USA, and the 1977 IFBB Mr. Universe Heavyweight crown, beating Mike Menser by a single point. He was on a trajectory toward greatness, but his relationship with the IFBB was fracturing. A physical altercation with founder Joe Wider over photo rights resulted in a lawsuit settled out of court. In 1978, he attempted forming a bodybuilders union for fair pay and image rights, reportedly supported then abandoned by Arnold Schwarzenegger. That painted a target on his back. At the 1978 Mr. Olympia in Columbus, Ohio, Scolac entered the over 200-pound class with what many considered his best ever physique. The crowd loved him. Then the results landed: Zane 1st, Robinson 2nd, Callender 3rd, Padilla 4th, and Scolac 5th. The arena erupted in boos. That is when Scolac stepped center stage, extended his arms parallel to the ground, crossed his legs, tilted his head, and closed his eyes. A crucifix pose, a martyred protest. The crowd gave him a standing ovation. He later said, "I am not so much a good winner as I am a bad loser." The pose effectively blackballed him from the IFBB, ending his competitive career. It remains one of the most dramatic, defiant acts the sport has ever seen. The deeper story of the crucifixion pose is not just about one man's frustration at a single contest. It is about the systemic power dynamics that have shaped professional bodybuilding from its inception. In the 1970s, the IFBB was effectively a monarchy, with the Widers wielding enormous influence over which athletes received magazine exposure, sponsorship deals, and favorable judging. Athletes who fell in line were rewarded handsomely. Those who challenged the system, as Scolac did with his union, Push and his lawsuit were made examples of. The crucifix pose was Scolac's way of naming that dynamic out loud, of saying to every person in that arena and every person who would ever see the footage, I was punished not for my physique, but for my principles. Whether you view that as heroic defiance or unsportsmanlike conduct depends entirely on where you stand on the question of athlete rights versus institutional authority, a debate that remarkably remains just as relevant in professional bodybuilding today as it was in 1978. While this incident led to the end of Scolac's career, this next incident was about a years-long rivalry. KAI Green versus Phil Heath. If bodybuilding ever had its own heavyweight boxing rivalry, the kind that sells out arenas and dominates headlines for months, it was the feud between Kai Greene and Phil Heath. And in 2014, that rivalry boiled over in spectacular fashion on the Olympia stage, in front of thousands of screaming fans, under blinding lights that seemed to amplify the steam rising from their competing egos. Kai Greene, born July 12, 1975, in Brooklyn, New York, overcame a childhood in foster care and correctional facilities to become one of bodybuilding's most enigmatic figures. His dense muscularity, artistic posing with capes and masks, and underdog narrative made him a fan favorite. He had won multiple Arnold Classic titles and placed second at Mr. Olympia 3 years running from 2012 to 2014, always behind Heath. Frustration was building to a crescendo. At the press conference, Greene interrupted Heath, accusing him of excuses. "You won the last 3 years, but 2014 is 2014. Then came the finals at the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas. During the pose down, Greene struck a double biceps that forcefully pushed Heath's arm down. Heath laughed but repositioned aggressively. Intense eye contact, neither backing down. Announcers intervened. Spread out, gentlemen." The crowd erupted, fans thrilled by the spectacle. Others worried punches were about to fly. The event was described as WWE-like, boosting excitement but raising questions about professionalism. No blows were thrown, but the damage, to decorum at least, was done. Heath won his 4th consecutive title, while Greene placed second yet again. The rivalry never reached this peak again. Greene was excluded from the 2015 Olympia after refusing to sign a contract, effectively ending his competitive Sando pursuit and leaving fans to forever wonder what might have been. In the 2024 documentary Breaking Olympia, Greene reflected without regret, viewing it as authentic passion rather than embarrassment. What makes this moment resonate so deeply within the bodybuilding community is that it represented the culmination of a narrative that fans had been emotionally invested in for years. Kai Greene was the people's champion, the artist, the philosopher, the man who had clawed his way up from the absolute bottom of society to stand on the biggest stage in his sport. Phil Heath was the establishment favorite, gifted, polished, dominant, and seemingly untouchable. The 2014 Olympia stage confrontation was the moment where those two narratives collided with physical force, and the resulting tension, captured in photographs and video clips that have been viewed millions of times, encapsulated everything that makes bodybuilding rivalries so compelling. The intersection of ego, artistry, ambition, and the deeply personal nature of a sport where your body is your instrument and your livelihood. Unlike the rivalry between Greene and Heath, this next bodybuilder rejected a medal on stage. Flex Wheeler. Flex Wheeler appears on this list twice, and when you examine the staggering volume of dramatic, controversial, and deeply human moments that have defined his career, you understand why this man is considered one of the most fascinating figures in bodybuilding history. This particular incident occurred at what many consider the absolute peak of his physical prime, and it involves a silver medal, a turned back, and an arena of booing fans. The 1999 Mr. Olympia, held October 23rd at the Mandalay Bay Resort in Las Vegas, was massive in significance. Ronnie Coleman defended his title against a stacked lineup, including Chris Cormier, Kevin Levrone, Sean Ray, and Nasser El Sanbati. Wheeler arrived in arguably his best ever condition, around 212 to 215 pounds with exceptional symmetry, full bellies, and a six-pack that humbled Coleman's four-pack in the abs and thighs comparison. He looked like the Sultan of Symmetry at his absolute finest. Then the results: Coleman first, Wheeler second. The crowd erupted in boos, convinced Wheeler had been robbed, and what Wheeler did next became immortalized in Olympia lore. As the MC raised the winner's hands, Wheeler allowed his to be lifted briefly, then turned his back to the audience. When the silver medal was placed around his neck, he immediately removed it, reportedly mouthing, "I do not accept this," while pointing at the medal. The arena's discontent swelled to a roar. Analysts noted the reaction was inappropriate, especially contrasting with his gracious 1998 congratulations to Coleman, but it stemmed from genuine belief in his superiority. Others argued Coleman's dominant back and leg separation sealed the outcome, beginning what would become an 8-year reign. Wheeler never won the Sandow. 3 runner-up finishes was as close as he got. The rejection did not end his career. He won the Arnold Classic again in 2000, but it cemented a painful narrative of a champion's physique that was somehow never enough for the biggest title in the sport. Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Mike Mentzer. If there is a single event in bodybuilding history that could be called the sport's darkest hour, its most politically charged, most bitterly contested, most passionately debated controversy, it is the 1980 Mr. Olympia, and at the center of that firestorm, captured in one of the most iconic backstage photographs ever taken, stood 2 men who could not have been more different, locked in a confrontation that very nearly descended into a fistfight. On one side, Arnold Schwarzenegger, born July 30th, 1947 in Thal, Austria, the 7-time Mr. Olympia, Hollywood star, future governor governor of California and the most famous bodybuilder who ever lived. He had retired in 1975 after 6 consecutive victories, only to announce his shock return weeks before the 1980s contest. On the other, Mike Mentzer, born November 15, 1951 in Ephrata, Pennsylvania, a philosophy major who developed high-intensity training, the man who won Mr. Universe with a perfect score in 1978, and whom many believed was the rightful heir to the Olympia crown. The confrontation erupted at the morning competitors meeting at the Sydney Opera House on October 4, 1980. Competitors including Mentzer, Frank Zane, Boyer Coe, and Samir Banout vehemently objected to Arnold's late entry, arguing it disrupted fair preparation and seemed predetermined. Mentzer stepped forward, eloquently challenging Arnold's eligibility and the IFBB's integrity. Arnold responded with mockery, infuriating Mentzer, who advanced aggressively. Samir Banout described jumping between them to prevent fists. An iconic photograph captures the tension, Arnold casually defiant, Mentzer looming with restrained fury. Arnold won his 7th title amid deafening boos. Mentzer placed 5th, a result that devastated him and led to immediate retirement. He spent 2 decades arguing the contest was fixed, that the IFBB was corrupt, that his vision of bodybuilding had been trampled by politics and celebrity worship. Mentzer passed away June 10, 2001, at 49, from heart complications. That backstage photograph, 2 titans inches apart, rage and ideology crackling between them, remains one of the sport's most haunting images. What makes the 1980 Olympia controversy endure is that it raises questions about the sport that have never been satisfactorily answered. Was Arnold truly in good enough condition to win, or did his celebrity and his relationship with the fighters tip the scales in his favor? Could Mentzer have won on merit, or was his physique, while impressive, genuinely outclassed that day? Were the judges compromised, or were they simply exercising their subjective judgment in a sport that has always been inherently subjective? These questions have been debated for over 4 decades across books, documentaries, podcasts, and countless internet forums, and no consensus has ever emerged. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.